Hello, and thanks for tuning in. Today, we're discussing who influences us most. Let's dive in. So, the big question is, what really shapes us? Our thoughts, how we act, who we become.
Exactly. It's a fundamental question.
In this deep dive, we looked at a few things. Some sources talking about celebrities, their impact.
And also a really interesting analysis comparing parents, friends, and even AI.
Right. So our mission today is basically to pull out the key ideas about influence, try and give you a clearer picture of, well, all these forces at play.
It's definitely a salient topic for today.
Yeah.
And the material, it offered some really thought-provoking perspectives.
Where should we start? Maybe with celebrities. Their influence feels kind of inescapable sometimes.
Let's do that. Yeah, you really can't ignore the impact famous people have. It's significant.
It seems like it stems from just how many people follow them, right? These
Yeah.
huge, loyal followings. Plus, they're just always in the media.
Absolutely. That combination is powerful. And their views can spread incredibly fast. Like the example given was Elon Musk supporting Donald Trump on X, formerly Twitter.
Oh, right.
That one message hits a massive audience. And it could potentially sway opinions, especially somewhere like the U.S.
Yeah, you can see how that might happen.
And some research actually talks about a halo effect, where if you admire someone for one thing, like business skill.
You might trust their views on something else, like politics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if the two aren't really related, it biases perception.
Interesting. And it's definitely not just politics, is it?
Oh no, far from it.
Celebrities often champion social causes,
Yeah.
things like climate change or mental health awareness.
Yes, and when well-known actors or musicians get behind these things,
Right.
they can really energize their fans, maybe get them involved, or just thinking differently.
So they can be a real force for good in that sense.
They can. They have a unique platform to amplify important issues. But the sources also highlight the flip side.
The downsides, right.
Yeah. Sometimes they might promote lifestyles that aren't exactly healthy, or worse, spread misinformation.
That can be dangerous, especially if people aren't thinking critically about it.
It really underscores the need for, well, media literacy, being able to sort of evaluate what you're seeing and hearing.
And social media seems to have just turned the volume up on all of this.
Definitely. It gives them that direct line, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Unfiltered.
Yeah, it creates this feeling of, connection, like they're talking right to you.
That perceived intimacy is key. It makes their influence feel more personal, more potent. And of course, not everyone is influenced to the same degree.
Makes sense.
Younger people, maybe still forming their identities, their worldviews, they might be more receptive.
Compared to someone with, say, stronger critical thinking skills already developed.
Precisely. Or just a more established sense of self.
Okay, so celebrity influence. It's potent, it's widespread, but it's complicated. Both good and bad potential.
A very multifaceted force, yes.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. What about those influences closer to home? Parents versus friends or peers?
Right, the more traditional influencers. There's often this view that parents have the deeper, more lasting impact.
Especially when we're young, during those formative years.
Exactly. They create that initial environment, don't they? They teach us core values, model behaviors we see every single day. Those things can stick.
I can see that. The examples given were pretty relatable, like a calm household might lead to a gentler personality, or parents giving kids freedom to explore interests could foster independence later on.
Those early foundations are crucial. They really do set the stage.
But then things shift, don't they, as you hit adolescence, early adulthood. Peers seem to become much more important.
They certainly do.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to social behavior, figuring out your identity within a group.
That need to belong, to be accepted by your peers, feels paramount at that age.
It really is. It's a powerful driver.
And you see it everywhere, right? Choices in fashion, music, attitudes about social stuff. So much of that seems shaped by friends.
Absolutely. So you had this dynamic. Parents may be shaping the fundamental character, the long-term goals.
While peers have more sway over the day-to-day choices, the social interactions.
That's a good way to put it. More immediate impact, perhaps. But it's not always separate.
How so?
Well, these influences interact. A strong foundation from parents might help someone navigate, say, negative peer pressure.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
And sometimes friends introduce really positive new ideas or perspectives that parents might not have.
That's true, too. And today, peers isn't just the people you see at school, is it?
Not at all. That's a
Yeah.
huge point. Online friends, communities, They add a whole other layer to peer influence.
It's global now, in a way.
It really is.
Huh.
So the balance between parental and peer influence, it's not fixed. It changes across your life. Depends on your personality, your situation.
It's dynamic. Okay, so we've covered celebrities, parents, peers. Now, this last area the sources brought up feels very 21st century, AI and social media.
Yes, this is where the conversation gets particularly contemporary, doesn't it?
The idea is that maybe, for a lot of people now, AI and social media are becoming as influential or maybe even more influential than parents or friends.
That's the argument being put forward.
Yeah.
Based on this premise that we're constantly sort of updating ourselves, our thoughts, personalities, understanding based on what we encounter.
And what we encounter online is, well, vast and incredibly easy to access now.
Unprecedentedly so. Specialized knowledge, different global viewpoints, even experiencing things vicariously through content.
Things that used to be much harder to find or experience.
Exactly. And this constant flood of information, often tailored by algorithms, it can profoundly shape how we think.
How so? In what ways?
Well, it can manifest in our language, the words we use, the values we adopt, even our day-to-day behaviors. Think about how algorithms filter what you see.
Right, they can create filter bubbles or echo chambers.
Precisely. Potentially limiting exposure to different views, which subtly guides understanding.
So you could have young people picking up hobbies, forming really strong opinions, adopting whole worldviews, primarily from online content.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Perhaps more so than from direct chats with family or their local friends.
Wow. So while parents give us that initial moral compass, maybe, and friends help us figure out social stuff.
These digital platforms offer this pervasive, constantly available stream of influence that's just, well, always there.
It's a very significant force in modern life.
Undeniably. It's probably not that one replaces the others entirely.
More like they all interact in complex ways.
Exactly. Parental, peer, digital, they're all likely mixing together. But the rise of the digital sphere as a major shaper of individuals, that seems undeniable.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up then. Pull together the main threads for you listening.
It sounds good.
Celebrity influence. It's broad, can definitely sway opinions, but maybe sometimes a bit superficial.
Potentially lacking deep personal roots.
Parental influence. Super important early on, foundational, but it changes over time.
Yes, evolves as we grow.
Peer influence really ramps up in adolescence, driven by that need to belong socially.
Very true. Big impact on social identity.
And then this digital influence, driven by AI, social media, it's huge, it's growing fast, and it's everywhere now.
A defining influence of our current era, certainly. Each operates differently, carries different weight.
So maybe something for you to think about is, which of these has been the biggest deal in your own life?
Yeah, reflecting on your own journey.
How have these different forces, the obvious ones and maybe the less obvious ones, shaped who you are today?
It's actually a really valuable exercise. Good food for thought.
Absolutely. Stay curious and stay motivated.